Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. As I film this, it is September 17th. It's also the 60th anniversary of Goldfinger, arguably one of the most popular James Bond films, not just to us Bond fans, but probably to the entire world. And today, in just a few short minutes, I'm going to be part of a launch celebration. You see, Golf Pride and Eon have invited the Bond Experience to take part in something very special. I'm going to Stoke Park Golf Club, with a very, very famous golfing match, probably one of the most famous golfing matches in the entire world, entire history, certainly cinematic history, took place. And well, I have no idea what to expect, but I am wearing my Spectre watch because it's got the NATO band, right? A certain homage to it. I've got the NPL top and the NPL polo underneath because it's got that look and feel. I mean, it was taken after Goldfinger. Got a nice pair of comfortable pants on, sort of my own thing, and a Crockett & Jones pair of shoes. So I'm trying to go all decked out, and I think I'm ready to go. You know something? I need a hat. So upon arrival, you have that view of the DB5, which will, be getting a lot more of that later. But right now we're in the pavilion, which is the side adjunct building. A lot of things are being done and renovated, beautified in the main historical building. But this building in and of itself, I mean, take a look at this. Absolutely gorgeous. Stoke Park, as not just a golf club, but an institution, believes in fine luxury, but also comfort. And there's a certain amount of artistry that I wasn't expecting either. I mean, look at this bar. Okay, the pool is closed. And by the way, the pool is absolutely gorgeous. There's even a wee penguin, but so artistically done. But I kid you not, folks, they have sharks. They have sharks swimming by their pool. I don't know if it's the Golden Grotto shark, or sharks with frickin' laser beams, but they're there.
This is exciting for us. We've got some people from the James Bond crew. We've got Samantha Blanchard from Eon, and we've got Meg Simmons, who is the archive director for the Bond, and has been so since 1995. Is that?
Thank you again, everybody, for coming today. We get to do a lot of fun things at Golf Pride. This might be one of the most fun things I've done, to have everybody here who are Bond fans. I want to thank Stoke Park for helping host this event. This is quite special, to be able to do something like this. I thought I'd explain a little bit like how this project came to life and why we chose to do it. I'll give you kind of some of the business reason to start off with, but then I'll tell you the real reason, towards the end, the real reason. So Golf Pride, we're 75 years old this year. So Goldfinger is 60 years old. We're 75 years old. We got started in 1949 when all the grips that anybody played were leather. And this brand, most golf brands don't make it 75 years. There's a ton of brands that were in the Goldfinger film that aren't really with us the same way that they were back then. We've served 5 generations of golfers. We're now in our 6th, and part of the reason we've had such longevity is how we've reimagined what our purpose is. And so you wouldn't be wrong if you said like our main purpose is to make handles for golf clubs, because in some ways that's what people see what we do. But if you're inside Golf Pride, and what we live and what we do is that we make equipment for your hands. And those might sound just like two different words, but it's a dramatically different approach to what we do. When I first joined Golf Pride, most of our business was making grips for the club makers that you probably know, Callaway, TaylorMade, Titleist, King, and so on. Now the vast majority of our sales come from grips that we design specifically for golfers to re-grip their clubs. And in that way, we see grips a lot more like footwear. I was chatting earlier with David Zarisky. A lot of times golfers won't tell you that style matters, but it does. And so we've been pushing the boundaries of design and style in our platform, our medium, which is grips. And that's kind of where this project came to life. Recently we did another design collaboration with a famous athlete, Steph Curry. If you haven't seen that, that was an underrated grip that we launched. That was one of our first athlete collaborations that Eric drove, and we learned a lot through that. When this project came up, it seemed like quite a design challenge, to be honest. I think that's where it got started, was like, wow, okay, like if design matters, could you really do something fun with a Golf Pride grip to commemorate the anniversary of Goldfinger and do something fun with Bond? It was the design challenge that I think kind of got us first interested in. But the real reason we did it is we just have a lot of Bond fans at Golf Pride, including me. And it just seemed like it would be a ton of fun to try and figure out how to bring Bond and golf together. And so maybe we'll do a little unveil of this, but we just had a ton of fun trying to figure out how to bring those little design details into what is otherwise maybe people might see as a fairly basic kind of like design platform. It was a great design challenge. We had a ton of fun, doing it, and we'd like to share it with you. And
yeah, I think maybe if people will have a look.
You change your grips out, so you first put on double-sided tape onto the end of the shaft, so the tape adheres to the shaft, and then the other side adheres to the grip. And then you use a little bit of solvent, something to slide the grip on that then dries over time, and then the grip is able to adhere to the tape.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Are you a golfer, Norm? Are you a golfer? Or a narrow bow tie, or Roger Moore got into the really full, bow ties. This one also has a little cross grain in it, if you'll notice, like instead of being velvet, even down to the detail, the little crossing texture in that tie. The texture of the tuxedo shirt, the buttons here, the shape of the lapel, the 007 logo in here. We just had a ton of fun designing this grip. We thought it looked cool. Golf Pride's never really done something quite like this before, and it was really exciting to bring it to life. So, what do you guys think?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Does anybody have any questions at all?
You tuxedo, if you will. And that's where I think the grip for us really came to life, when we just went deeper. Instead of just a bow tie and just a white shirt, it's when we started looking at cross-grain bow ties, for a little bit of texture, or the shape of the tie, or that kind of piqué texture of a tuxedo shirt where there's some weave, to the shirt that you can see, the way the lapel. It's when we got into those deep details, which is kind of a mix of, apparel design and style. You got to know your tuxedos, to be able to get into this. I think that's where it became even more fun. And I think that's when kind of visually it came to life. And it's also quite functional, because a grip needs to have a bit of texture, for it to work in your hands. And so it's when we started exploring those subtle textures in a tuxedo. Tuxedo's kind of understated. From afar, it doesn't look anything more like a black and white silhouette, but it's when you get closer that you start to realize a lot of those different details. And Bond wore a lot of different tuxedo options, you know, from the shape of the lapel to, you know, so that's where I think kind of, we'll see how many people pull it out. The serious Bond fans will probably, like, they'll notice the cross grain, you know, and the bow tie in there. That's where we probably had a ton of fun.
So can we expect to see Rory McIlroy with one of the
See, I don't know if Rory's a Bond fan. I haven't heard him talk about that before. It's possible. Rory's been a golf pride player for a long time, so we'll see. It's great to have an 85 here then.
Jamie? Sorry, one more question. You and I talked about the invisible Bond moments. So when someone buys an Omega watch or an NPL jumper, you're not screaming to the world necessarily, it's James Bond.
Yeah.
I don't know the grip business, but do you want this to be an invisible moment? Or is this something where you want people to look at it and go, golf pride, James Bond?
Yeah, I think this one, you can see this is not so subtle.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're playing it up, you know. It's a golf pride grip, and it's celebrating a Goldfinger movie, and it's a full-on, you know, like tuxedo. So it's us having fun with it, you know. And but I do think, to your point, David, I think there are other options to make it a bit more understated. I think in this case, because grips are already understated, I think we felt like we had to punch it up a little bit, you know, to actually break through and say something. But I think if this is successful, there's probably more understated ways, you know, to do it and play off of it. And that was a choice that we made. You could kind of see us dialing the choice. We could dial it back or dial it up. And like I said, we just had a ton of fun with it. We decided to dial it up and go for it and see what we can do with it.
Thank you. All right, amazing stuff. So now I'm going to show you the whole box. I'm sitting here in this beautiful greenhouse at Stoke Park. You can hear some of the din behind us. We have the Bond experts talking to people. So it's a slight quiet time that I can actually talk about this. Here is the Golf Pride box. And all right, let's just kind of take a look at it, shall we? Hold for it, wait for it. I'm going to undo the latch because of course it has to be Bond related, but watch this. You get a full look at Stoke Park, and of course you're greeted with the famous poster. But that's not all. If you remove this, like so, you have a gold bar. And you can see it says 007 Golf Pride. Now, of course, I'm going to take out the gold bar, and it's actually numbered. And then it also has the 60th anniversary on the back. But inside, when you pull this out, there is a beautiful reveal. And folks, it's a tuxedo. And it even has the same striations and fabric and the same shape as the Bond one. Lots of 007s there. But this is, again, just a part of it, because once you take a look at that, what you have to realize is there is a drawer. Q branch, I don't know, but let's take a look inside the drawer and look what we have here. A ton more friends. So, I mean, just from a display standpoint, I haven't tested this out. I mean, obviously, this is fantastic. So, wow, great job.
Because I'm pressing the buttons 3 seconds before you finish your line. So it's
You can use spare parts off the shelf, and most of the DB5 parts are available, but not all of them. So before you do anything else, you've actually got to go out and remake an entire DB5, every single nut bolt, even things like the ashtrays. It's a simple little thing, but you know, they've not been available for sort of 50 something years. So we had to go out and find the company that can make the ashtray. the catches on the windows and the door cards and the stuffing material that goes behind the leather, etc., etc. So a very, very complicated car to make. We actually got 10 real DB5s over a period of time and then laser scanned them. So we took all the data from 10 cars, because in real life every DB5 was slightly different. They would be, one side would be a few millimetres longer than another, and on car to car that would vary a little bit because they're handmade cars. So we took 10 cars, took all the data, and then kind of blended it all together to make the perfect
I
DB5.
went to drive one of these in the Queen's Jubilee, the last one. The only trouble was I was following the Daleks. It was 2 hours of slipping the clutch at 2 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm here now with Jamie, president of Golf Pride, and we're going to talk a little bit more details. Jamie, first of all, thank you for having me here today.
It's
Appreciate
great.
it.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
It's been a
Glad
lot
to
of
be
fun.
here.
Well, it's so, I mean, yes, you have the history. You obviously we have a beautiful day we were talking about, but we got to talk about James Bond.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a James Bond channel.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Golf Pride and the evolution, because I did a little bit of research, and it went from supplying others,
Yep.
distributorship, building your own innovation, but now we have Bond. Talk to me about that journey.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So Golf Pride is 75 years old this year. Goldfinger's 60 years old. Nice. And Golf Pride was, even though it was started in 1949, was probably right around the time Goldfinger started. Golf Pride's starting to blow up. And grips, for those who know golf, they used to be leather. And around that time in 1960, you can see like some of the old equipment they're playing, grips transition from leather to rubber. And so Golf Pride served probably 5 generations of golfers at this point. And you're right, like originally we were making grips for golf club manufacturers, so Titleist, Callaway, TaylorMade, paying the brands that everybody knows. But now the vast majority of our business is we're designing products for golfers, and they're making the choice to play Golf Pride. And so a lot of times I talk about it, grips now, the way we think about it a lot, the way people think about footwear. There's a performance element, there's a fit element, and now more and more, which brings us to Bond, like there's kind of a fun style element, which people aren't used to necessarily always thinking about, with grips. So, from outside, maybe grips look like handles for clubs, but if you're inside Golf Pride, our mission really is to give people a feeling of confidence when they play golf, and we feel like we're not designing handles for clubs, we're designing equipment for your hands, and so we're always kind of trying to push the boundaries of what is otherwise maybe people might see as a simple grip. It's the only connection you have to a golf club, and so there's a lot of subtle ways that we can help you play with more confidence and have more fun. I think grips would not have been seen maybe as their own independent equipment category. They would have been along for the ride with clubs, but now more and more people do, and that's kind of our mission, to see that, because there are we might all play the same set of irons, but we actually might want really different grips on our clubs, and a lot of people just don't think about it. And so that's the mission that we're on. We nerd out on these small details, that make a difference to how it feels and how it looks in people's hands, and we have a ton of fun doing it.
I've been very curious, have you been talking to people about how does the germ of Bond even come up in your company? Does someone raise their hand and go, I have an idea?
So we, our headquarters is in Pinehurst, North Carolina, and we 5 years ago built a custom-built global innovation center right inside the gates of Pinehurst number 8. Oh, wow. And so we have a ton of golf nuts there, and most of us live on golf courses. We work there at Pinehurst number 8, and so we're surrounded by golf all the time. So the whole purpose of the Innovation Center is to constantly vet new ideas. Right. We have essentially like a pro shop there for golfers to come visit us on the front, and then we have a rapid prototyping lab in the back. And so in this 36,000 square feet of Innovation Center that we have there, we're just constantly turning over ideas all the time. And some we have a ton of fun with, and they don't make it to market, because they're just not right. But we're constantly experimenting, and this is one of those experimental ideas. And I would tell you, when we started first kicking around the idea, and this happens at Golf Pride. You had some people at Golf Pride like, well, like, how would that work? Like, we've never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
But then we have a ton of Bond fans, and they're like, look, this could be one of the funnest things we've ever done. Like, we've got to do it, you know? And so some of these things that we take on, they're almost like design challenges a little bit. It's not like this is a mainline, you know, grip. You're not going to see this grip, you know, on, you know, tour broadcasts or something like that. But it's part of when we show the fun that we're having with grips, that comes through to our golfers, and it helps them see, you know, grips in a different way. So, you know, I mentioned it earlier, there's some business strategy reasons why we do it, but some of these things we do just because our brand is inspired by people that love the game and want to do different things. And so sometimes we kind of latch onto something that feels like it'll be a fun design challenge, and we just try and see how far we can push it.
I first of all, I love that that's the impetus. You know, it's not, you know, you hear corporations today, you know, we think it'll spike the revenue or introduce our brand more.
Yeah.
But the fact that you want it to almost be in competition with yourself, and that's really what pushes you in the company. I will tell you, forecast, I will tell you, I suspect that this is probably going to introduce some people to the world of golf, because there are Bond fans that are literally teetering on the idea of starting golf.
Yeah.
And this may be enough to say, you know what, this is ridiculous. I have the grip.
Let's
I'm going
try
to go
it.
play a few holes.
Yeah, sure. And we'd love to see that. You know, that was our thought. This is, you know, we have a lot of Bond fans inside Golf Pride, but not all Bond fans are golfers, to your point. And so this is a little bit experimental to say, like, can we excite and kind of pull in some people that maybe they've, you know, there's a lot of golf alternative experiences that people have done. So there could be a number of people that follow you that have either like been to Top Golf or, you know, some of these new kind of like golf and entertainment venues, screen golf and stuff like that. So golf is growing.
It is.
And golf, you're seeing more crossover musicians and athletes and things like that talking about, like even with my kids, golf is as cool now as it's probably been in my, you know, since maybe the early days of Tiger Woods or something like that. So it's a little bit on a revival, and you're right, maybe this taps into some people that have been thinking about, you know, giving it a try.
I think it will. Well, listen, Jamie is going to play the historical Stoke Park course. So we're going to let you go have fun and get your Bond on. But thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Appreciate
this was
it.
really great. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.